These are the 1.5A notes for PreCalc. We're talking today about one-to-one functions. So if you remember back to the beginning of this unit, we had the first lesson on what is a function. So the mathematical definition, for each x, there is only one y. For each input, there is only one output. And we kind of simplified it by saying, in other words, the x's can't cheat. Meaning if the x is paired with one y, it can't then go off and get paired with another y. Now, there's a certain type of function. It's called a one-to-one function. And this is when each y has its own x. So a lot of times people will ask, well, are the y's allowed to cheat on a function? Normally, yes. If you're talking about a one-to-one function, the y's can't cheat either. So each x is linked to a y, and each y is linked to just one x. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of examples. Determine whether the given relation is a function. If it is a function, determine whether it is a one-to-one function. So for example number 1, 2 is paired with 1. 8, notice it's paired with 3 and 5. 8 is cheating. It's paired up with two y values, so we say this is not a function. Example 2, 1 is paired with 6, 2 with 5, 3 with 7, so it is a function. Now we just have to decide whether it's one-to-one. Let's look at each of the pairings backwards. 5 to 2, 6 to 1, 7 to 3. None of the y's are repeating with different x values. So this is a one-to-one function. Example number 3, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2. So none of the x's are cheating. That means it is a function. But notice you have a repetition of the y's, which means this is a function, but not one-to-one. It is a function, but it's not a one-to-one function. The x's are not cheating, but the y's are. The y's are repeating. Take a look at a few more examples here. Number 14. This is a function. Let's check to see, is it also one-to-one? Yes, it is. So I guess I should have written that a little differently. This is a one-to-one function. Each x is paired with a y, and each y is paired with only one x. Example 5, let's first check to see if it's a function. It is not. I notice that 9 is with -3 and then 9 is with +3. So this is not a function at all. And if it's not a function, there's no purpose of us checking to see whether it's a one-to-one function. Example number 6. This is a function. None of my x's are repeating with different y's. But it's not a one-to-one function because 0 and 1 are both paired up with 5. So function, not, and then I'm going to get a little bit lazy and just write one-to-one. Feel free to do that if you'd like as well. Try 7 and 8 on your own. See if you can figure those out. Number 7 is a function. None of the x's repeat with different y's, but it is not a one-to-one function. You have a 6 here repeating in the y position. And number 8, this is a one-to-one function. None of your x's are repeating, and also none of your y's are repeating. Okay, now as far as graphs go, earlier we learned a method to figure out whether a graph was a function. It's called the vertical line test. Remember, vertical means straight up and down. So what this means is we're going to drag a vertical line across our graphs. Maybe you do it with your pencil. Maybe you draw it. But as long as your line that you drew is only touching the graph one time, it is a function. So for example, right here, drew a line, it's just touching it once. If I draw the line over here, still only touches it once. Over here, still only touching it once. So this is the example of a function. Now we got to check one-to-one. In order to check that, we're going to do something called the horizontal line test. Same exact thing, except you're going to drag a horizontal line, right and left, across your graph and see if it touches more than once. Right here, you can see that it touches once and twice. So this is a function. It passed the vertical line test, but not a one-to-one function. Not a one-to-one function. Fails the horizontal line test. The next one, vertical line test. Anywhere I draw only touches the graph one time. So it is a function. We'll check if it's a one-to-one function. Just touching it once, just touches once, just touches once. So this one looks like it passes both tests. This is a one-to-one function. Example 11. Check your vertical line test and your horizontal line test. All right, it passes the vertical line test, so it is a function, but it's not one-to-one. Not one-to-one. See if you can investigate 12, 13, and 14 and figure out whether these are functions or not, and if so, if they're one-to-one. All right, so number 12 is not a function. If you draw a vertical line right here, that was a very crooked vertical line. Let me try that again. If you draw a vertical line right here, you can see that it crosses the graph more than one time. So it's not a function. Number 13 passes the vertical line test. There's never a place I can draw a vertical line where it crosses more than once. Notice right here, it's just crossing once. Right there, it's just crossing once. Right here, it's just crossing once. So it passes the vertical line test, but not the horizontal line test. If we draw a line across, notice it touches it several times. 14 is a one-to-one function. Whether you draw your vertical line, that passes. Then you check your horizontal lines. And nowhere you're going to draw this graph, draw this line is going to cross more than once. So that is a one-to-one function.